Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome along to our Live Your Best Digital Landlord Life webinar. It's the next in our series of the collab between property tribes across Lendlord. And earlier this week, you may have seen our video, which was all about how to stress test portfolio in terms of rental coverage. And we thought this was very interesting to go through this exercise, particularly in the light of everything that's happened in the last 8 weeks or so to do with COVID-19. Because one thing that COVID-19 has done is it has really stress tested business models, and in the property sector, it's definitely stress tested a lot of business models, everything from landlords to property developers to estate agents. In fact, anybody in the sector is really going to have their business tested. And I think one of the great things about Landlord is that you're taking what we're calling a digital first approach, and that is using digital tools to ensure that you understand your business from every angle, and that you are able to assess your risk. And Lendlord has many different kind of tools to help you do that, and to highlight any properties that are underperforming. And in very troubling times like we're in at the moment, you really do need to look at the properties that are underperforming or maybe at risk. So for today's webinar, we were going to look at some new releases that have been deployed onto Landlord this week. If you are a member or on the mailing list, you would have received your email about an hour ago, actually, just informing you not only of your portfolio insights, which are customized to you, but also about these new releases. And they are two features that we've brought out. One is the Give Back program, and the other is the services. So with the Give Back program, what we wanted to do was to encourage a kind of points reward system, that where you use the products and services recommended by Landlord, that you can earn points. And you can also earn points for doing different things on the platform. So the more that you input information, the more points you earn. If you share on social media, you'll earn some points, that kind of thing. So you can build these points up, and when you've got to 200 points, you can actually use those 200 points to make a £20 donation to a charity of your choice. So we wanted to have this kind of social cause element that created a win-win situation for everybody, that you were kind of encouraged to input information into Landlord, be rewarded by points for using our products and services, and therefore being able to make a donation to a charity. And I think we've chosen about 5 charities that you can choose from. The other thing that we released, it was the services module, and these are the official partners of Property Tribes and Landlord who work together. And you've probably got many of your own products and services, but you might like to use some of ours, because as you know, the Landlord platform is free to use, and it is our intention to keep it free to use. But in order to do that, we do need to monetize it somehow, and the way we've chosen to monetize it is to provide products and services. And if you use any of our products and services, you will receive Landlord will receive a small commission. So that's how it's monetized. That's what the services are about. We've obviously got a mortgage provider. We've got an insurance partner, which is the award-winning insurance company Alan Boswell Group. And we're adding more services and products as we go along. And these are from trusted providers that we've done work with ourselves. So Avram, yes, we've released these 2 new kind of releases onto Landlord, haven't we? And it's just all part of the roadmap that's constantly developing and moving forward.
Right. Yeah. So I think the best thing will be like to share the screen and share with you those 2 new features. Then we will open up the webinar to Q&As. We got several questions from the webinar page, but feel free to put it on the chat, and Vanessa will repeat the questions and I will answer. So as Vanessa said, we released this week the give back plan and the services. I think the main benefit here is basically to track services online using our providers. So in this page, if you go from the menu to services, you will see in some categories. We have finance, conveyancing, compliance, and insurance currently, but we will be adding more. And also we are open to get your recommendations. If you work with a trusted provider that you think that can bring value to our community, then we of course can add him to this panel. And I now will answer also a question that I got to the webinar page. We are not passing on any details of our users to those providers without your explicit permission. So let's say you want to schedule or a call with this company, EPC Online, that changed the brand to PropCert on EICR. You need to pick the property, and then you will get this pop-up, and we will pass on your phone number and the property address. These are like the two things that we will pass on to EPC Online if you click on confirm. If you didn't, we will not do nothing. And this is like available only on this page. Other places you can find our providers, like in the notifications. So let's say you have a mortgage product that is about to expire, or a gas certificate due date, or land insurance end date, then you can either update it. So let's say that you already took care of it. So you just click on update, you will go to my portfolio and you can update the new date. Or you can, again, get this pop-up and decide if you want to get a phone call from this company. There will be, so I think that with Ellen Boswell, we also have a tracking link, so you can start and get a quote online. And we will try to work with others that also have some processes online, so you can get some estimation. For the conveyancing provider, we do have a quote online. The company is the Moving Hub. You can put your details here. In the future, perhaps we can do it like automatically for you. And when you click submit, you will get a quote and decide if you want to continue. So everything is up to you. And if you complete a case with one of our providers, then you can earn give back points. And as Vanessa explained, when you earn 200 points, we give you, by the way, when you register to the platform, 20 points. And if you earn more than 200, you can convert them to a donation that Lendlord will do. And we will send you some kind of a certificate, but the donation will be from Landlord bank account to one of 6 charity organizations that we picked. And this is like the way that we get a lot of questions how we monetize it, why it's free. So this is the way it's free. And this is like our intention. We want to keep it free. And this is like our current plan.
Yeah, it's kind of based on the philosophy of what we call reciprocity. So if you feel that you've got value from something, one thing that one way you may like to express that is to use the products and services, but it's the complete choice. You're not forced to. And of course, just to stress what Avram said, that your information is not passed on to third parties. You choose whether they contact you. And we think that's a good way to set up this referral program. Andy's asking, are our providers nationwide? Yes, they are. EPC Online, for instance, is a nationwide company where you go to their website. It takes about 2 minutes to book an EPC, and generally they will give you an appointment within 24 hours. They've been on Property Tribes for quite a while now, and we've had very, very positive feedback from our members at Property Tribes who've used their services. So it's a very quick online booking service. I've used it myself and very happy with it. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to be doing, adding legitimate products and services that landlords need on a regular basis to the services page so that you can use those services should you desire to. I think there was quite an interesting question on Property Tribes today, which got a lot of traction. And it was, I don't know if anybody saw it, and maybe Avaram can pick up the link from Property Tribes and put it into the chat, but it was one of our top trending topics of the day, and it was somebody saying that they were really thinking of kind of throwing in the towel with buy-to-let. They had 25 properties, some of them weren't performing very well, and they weren't sure what to do. Now, this is a perfect example of when you can use Lendlord to help you make informed decisions. And I did indeed suggest to the gentleman that he go into Lendlord software and use the stress testing module, which we demonstrated recently. And that's a really good way to consider the strength of your portfolio, see where the weak properties are. And you may decide to maybe sell some of the less performing ones and buy something that has a better yield or ROI. So it's a good way to actually think about managing your portfolio, particularly when we're in such unprecedented times as what's been going on with the COVID-19 fallout. And as we've been saying, there's a lot more to come from this. We haven't even got to October where the furlough is fully withdrawn by the government. There's going to be many, many people finding that they don't have a job going forwards into the autumn. And that's just the start of what's coming. And I don't mean to be a doom monger, and I sincerely hope that I'm wrong, but I've kind of described COVID-19 as an earthquake. Right now, with the end of lockdown and so on, this is the part of the process where the tide starts to go out. And there is that famous saying that when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked. But actually, there's something on the horizon, and that's the tsunami wave, and that's what's coming. So we all really do need to be completely across our portfolios, understand them inside out, be very strong on our tenant management, dealing with rent arrears, and so on and so forth, because there is more challenging times to come, I think. Now, I do hope I'm wrong, and only time will tell. So yes, interesting times ahead. But I think with this digital first approach, you are mitigating your risk on many, many levels. And that's why we really feel that, Lendlord is the right tool to have in your toolbox at the right time to help you mitigate these risks going forward. So we're very excited that it is going to support landlords through the challenges ahead. Okay, the rest of this webinar was really going to be asking FAQs about Lendlord, and obviously one of the top ones is how it's monetized, and we've dealt with that this evening. There was another question that was asked, and that was, are we going to be able to integrate Xero into it? So Avram, would you like to answer that?
Yes, so we are looking at the integration to accounting systems. We also got requests, if we have time at the end, I will show you some new features in the test environment that related to that, to integrate into bank accounts and things like that, just to make it easier to import data to the platform. So we are starting discussions and looking into it. And it's like in our plan. It's not something that we will release in the next few weeks, let's say, but it's something that for the next few months, let's say. So we definitely look at it. There are some options to export data, and this is something that's important, and I can show it. So in my portfolio, you have your spreadsheet. You can customize it with this column drop down. So you can decide which fields you want to see on your dashboard, and you can also order order the column by drag and drop the field here. And click done, and the order will change. So once you decide on your view, you can click on the link that's called Export to Excel, and the data will be downloaded to Excel spreadsheet, and you can send it over to your accountant or to any third party that you think might be relevant. In the future, we do have in the plan something like other accounting systems have to invite third party to view your portfolio with restrict permissions. So you can provide the permissions on which properties you want them to view, and what actions they can do. So it's like a view only or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's also something that in the plan. It's not here yet, but we are working on it. Another option to export data, it's on the profit and loss module. So if you track your monthly expenses on the platform, then you can go to monthly expenses box. First, just make sure that you have the expenses that you want to export here. Then you just need to click on the export button on the right side on the chart area. You can select the properties you want to export the data to. And then you need to decide which data you want to include. If just purchase costs, usually it's less relevant if you want to send it to your accountant. The monthly income, monthly costs, and what period you want to extract. So let's say January to March. And when you click export, you will have like Excel spreadsheet with all of this data. So this is like the way you can export data. And as I said, in the future, we'll enhance it, so it'll be like more automatic, and you can invite third parties to look on your account with your permissions, with restrict permissions, of course.
Mm. I think it's really interesting, Abraham, talking about the export function. Just today on Property Tribes again, there was a new member who joined and asked for an accountant recommendation to an accountant that could help this person grow their portfolio. And I think that's a really savvy thing to ask, because there are accountants that specialize in property taxation. And indeed, our personal accountant, Amit Prasanna of Guardian Professional, is going to be joining us as one of our providers of services to Lendlord. And when you work with somebody like Amit, they add so much value to what you're doing and help you structure all your property holdings in the most efficient manner. But when you first contact an accountant, it makes sense, obviously, to be able to download some of this information into a spreadsheet to send them, so they can start to get an initial feel for your financial position. So certainly.
Yeah, so Vanessa, for mortgage brokers, if you use to your mortgage broker, you can send it to your accountant. There are many third parties that might need this data at some point of your landlord life. So
yeah, so it's really just so handy to have it there, so quick to download it. Now, somebody has asked a question about how secure the site is and how will it be safe against hackers. So you've spent a great deal of time and also money on the encryption side of Lendlord, haven't you, Abraham?
Right, yeah. Since the beginning, we invested and keep investing a lot in security. We understand that we keep sensitive data. We host, like, our servers are being hosted by Amazon, so in the AWS under security groups. No one can access the servers. All passwords are hashed. The protocols and the communications are encrypted. and we have daily backups to the data. And we are keep investing in that. So we are using contractors and very good companies that are following us in both sides, legal side and security, cyber security side. So this is a first priority for us.
Yeah, we take the security of the data extremely seriously for obvious reasons. Do keep the chat coming, please, if you've got any questions. If you have some suggestions of a module or a feature that you would like to see on Lendlord, do pop that on the chat. Anil is asking, do we have a release date for the HMO module?
Yeah, so let's talk about HMOs because we get a lot of questions and also a lot of suggestions. And according to suggestions, I think that there are many users that speak with me from time to time, and we love to listen to our users and understand their needs. And we are trying to deliver the features as fast as we can. So we are working on some features around the HMOs, and also it will be relevant to other type of properties. So currently, let's first look at what currently you can do if you own an HMO property. So first, let's take this let's existing property as an example. You have, if you recall, in the edit property, or when you add property, we have sections. So the general fields, the mortgage fields, some calculated fields that you can put on the table, and to see a comparison of your metrics per property on all of your all across your portfolio. And in the property details section, you have many details you can put if you want on your property. So first, it's a good place to store the data, but also you can get some insights if you fulfill this data. So if it's an HMO property, just put yes, then put the license due date. Yesterday, I had a great call with very nice guys that they said that there is another option that we need to a shared accommodation, that it's in between. It's not an HMO, so it's a license, so we'll add it as well. So you can put the license. I want to put a closer date because I want to get the notification. So let's say it's almost due. Then you have the place to put the number of units, the property activity, if it's a larger HMO, standard HMO, and some other fields that not just relevant to HMO, but this is by the way, things that we added recently. If you want to keep your contract end date of your utility suppliers, so you can, and also the contact numbers, so you can also put it here. This is we released it in one of last weeks.
Can I just jump in there a second, Avaram? Just want to recommend a site called Manage My Bills, which is, it was actually on Dragon's Den. You may have seen it, but I've started using it for our two houses. We've got obviously our main residence and holiday home, and also for any relevant properties in our portfolio. But essentially, you give them your information, and every year they automatically check every tariff available for gas and electricity, and if they find a cheaper one, they notify you, and you can authorize them to move to the cheaper tariff. And I did that on our own home, and I seem to recall we saved about £570 for the annual gas and utility bills. So again, really worth just registering any relevant properties to free service. Absolutely brilliant, and saves you money. So what's not to love about that?
So if we come back to the HMOs, the second thing you need to do is to take care about the tenants. So you will have probably more than one tenant. Because of that, we developed a new screen that was released also a few weeks ago, My Tenants. So here you can manage your tenant details. You can manage prospect ones, the actual ones, and past. If you want to keep your past tenants' details, you can. Or like if you have a tenant that just left the apartment, the property, then you can move him to a status past tenant. You can see how much you hold currently on deposits, and we will keep enhancing this page with more functionality. So let's say that you have like more than one tenant. You can do the same in the property. Very easy to add details. If you want to keep the phone number, the mobile number, date of birth. We also going to work with, we are talking with some credit reports and tenant referencing providers that for like user that we want to do it like through this page, perhaps it will be available as well in the future.
Actually, Avram, I was also thinking just there, it would be a good idea to add a field for next of kin. This is a lesson I learnt the hard way when, unfortunately, we had a tenant who was taken very, very ill and taken to hospital, and we actually had no details of their next of kin. And I always recommend now that when you sign up a new tenant, if you don't have a guarantor, is to take the next of kin details in the event that something happens where you need to contact your relative. We had another tenant who unfortunately had mental health problems and disappeared in bare feet without a coat in the rain, and just disappeared actually for 8 weeks. We were very, very worried about him, and eventually found out from the police that he had been sectioned, having been found in a very distressed state at Heathrow Airport. And these are the kind of things that happen when you're dealing with people. And, you know, just a simple thing like taking the next of kin details can make a big difference. In the case of our tenant that was taken very, very ill, it's quite an interesting story. They'd been abroad and they'd been bitten by a spider, and they'd had a terrible poison reaction to this spider bite. So everything worked out all right in the end, I'm pleased to say. But it might be an idea, Avram, just a live progression here to add next of kin details, just to prompt people to take that information.
Noted. Okay, good. So you have also the deposit scheme, deposit amount, event like inverted and undertaking if yes, no, and other details that if you want to put. And of course, you can attach this tenant to a property. You can do it from My Tenants page, but you can do it also from the My Property page. And you can write some notes. And here, so here you can add all your tenants. And in my portfolio, if you have an HMO, you can add as many tenants you want. Just need to pick the tenants. You will get the list from the My Tenant screen. You will get only the actual tenants. So make sure that you move them to an actual status. And you can put the rent share. And I will touch this because we are going to add something more enhanced to take care of the rent, especially on HMOs.
Yeah. Somebody's asked the question, is storing tenants' details affected by GDPR? The answer to that is no, because GDPR is about how you manage and process data. You're not sharing it with anybody else. You're not using it for any contact purposes, and so on and so forth. It's stored in a secure data bank. You have the information anyway. So no, it's not affected by GDPR. But you as a landlord, in certain circumstances, do need to register with the ICO, and we have details of that on Property Tribes. You can look that up. And it's probably best practice actually to just register with the ICO and have a privacy policy that you can just give a copy of to your tenants when you sign them into a new tenancy. Can you attach documents to the tenant section, asks Mo.
Yes, you will be able to do that. Currently, what you can do in terms of documents is to go to my portfolio, go to the property you want to add document to, click on. This is also important. If you want to do some action on a property level, you just need to hover the row and you will get this panel of actions with tooltips. So you can see what actions you can do in each property. So you calculate estimate property value, edit this property, and it will open the sidebar. Remortgage will take you to the mortgage search. I believe we will touch it in one of the next webinars. And you can also upload documents. So here you can put tenancy agreement, and it will be saved on the property level. I understand for HMOs, perhaps it will be easier to do it on my tenant. So I believe like in the next week or the week after, you will see also here an action to upload documents for a specific tenant. So you can upload any document.
Fantastic. Adatoro has asked if you use managing agents for your properties, whether you need to keep level of details of your tenants. The answer to that is no, you don't. It's entirely up to you whether you fill out those fields or not. You might just want to keep basic information like their name. It really is entirely up to you. Obviously, your managing agent will have all of those details anyway. And to be truthful, with most of our managed properties, I actually don't really know the names of the tenants because I'm not involved in the day-to-day management of them. So we want to stress that there are no mandatory fields on Lendlord. You can fill in as much or as little as you like, but obviously the more you fill in, the more data and insights you're going to get back. So we encourage you to fill in as many fields as possible. Sammy has asked, when offline from Lendlord, would you actually receive an email prompt from the platform to say, for instance, that your gas certificate is due in, say, a month's time?
Yeah, so you will get a notification to your email. In the new version that will be released next week, this is the test environment. So perhaps you'll see like features that are not released yet or bugs. So excuse me, but this is like the environment that we test the new features. So in the new settings page, we will have currently it's talking only on mortgage product, but in the new version, it talks about all of the kind of due dates notifications, and you can decide when you want to receive a notification, 90 days, 60, 30, 40, 14, or 3 days before the due date. Mm-hmm. So yes, the answer yes. If you have any due date, you will get notified by the platform.
Yeah, and again, you can see there that you can customize your notifications to the frequency that you specifically want. So again, it's mass customization on this platform. You can literally set it up in the view that suits you. And, I think that's really important when everybody has a different way of how they like to receive information. They like how they like their columns ordered and that kind of thing. So it's all there on Landlord for you to, customize and choose the frequency of your notifications. And obviously, if you have an insurance policy, your insurer will write to you to let you know that it's coming to an end. But, we've had instances ourselves where it got lost in the post or, it disappeared from our post table or whatever it might be. So these are all, again, about mitigating risks because they're backing up other processes and thereby, ensuring that you are compliant, fully insured, and really helping you keep on top of those processes, which again I think is a big part of risk mitigation. So good reminders there from Lendlord about many aspects of compliance. Okay, anybody got any other questions? We're just kind of reaching the end here now. We've got 33 people on the chat. How's everybody finding Lendlord? Are you enjoying using it? Anybody got any comments?
In the meanwhile, there is something I wanted to add about the HMOs, Vanessa.
Oh yes, go on.
And this is something that we will release in the next few weeks, because we got a lot of requests from users to add that. So we moved the rent. In the current version, you can put for each tenant how much he should pay rent on my portfolio, so at the property level. So in the new version, and just be noted that it's not released yet, this is test environment. We will send an email once it's released. You will have it on the sidebar when you edit the tenant. So you can put what is the rent payment for this specific tenant. You can put the frequency of the payment, and you can put the first payment date. Mm. When you do it, the platform will prepare a schedule payment, a payment schedule table for you. You can, there is a bug there, so ignore that. It's like a test environment, but just I want you to send the concept. So you can filter this table by properties or by tenants or by payments. So if you want to see just the due or the paid ones or the overdues, so you can do it as well here. And of course, you can play with the period. So the default is the current month, but you can look at a longer period as well. So this is something that we will release, and we will provide some information out to use it, of course. But this is also something for like HMOs and users that can definitely help them understand and track if they do it by themselves, of course, and not using a managing agent for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're getting quite a few questions asking if it's browser only or if there's an app. At the moment, it is browser only. There is an app on the roadmap. So, you know, Lendlord is all about living your best digital landlord life. So obviously that will come in the future. We want you to be able to manage your portfolio 24/7, 365. Even when you're lounging on the beach in the Caribbean or whatever you might be doing, up a mountain, which is what Nick might be doing. We want you to be able to assess your portfolio, access your information, and do any actions that need doing.
Vanessa, for that, another thing, like, on mobile, the platform is responsive. So the app is in progress. It's not released yet. But if you open your web browser on your mobile and you go to the Landlord address and put your credentials, then you will get a mobile view. So the platform is responsive, and you can work on it on mobile, but it's not an app yet. It's just through your web browser on your smartphone.
Yeah. Well, we've had some very lovely comments here for which we're very grateful. Mo has said that he likes the flexibility that the software has. And Craig has said that he's a relatively new property investor, came across Lendlord in Property Hub magazine, and has had a go on it. He's been inputting his data over the last couple of weeks, and he loves it, finding it extremely useful. So really appreciate that feedback. Thank you. As we draw this to a close, I think it would be quite nice to go back to the beginning of the webinar, where we were talking about stress testing portfolio and how COVID-19 has perhaps highlighted weaknesses in your portfolio. For some people near the end of their landlord life, who are thinking of retiring in 5 years' time. Maybe what's happened has brought that time frame closer to you, and you're thinking, actually, do you know what? I've just had enough. I want out. So there's going to be many different landlords in many different situations, and I just wanted to speak very quickly about my own personal appearance, kind of my own personal opinion of when it comes to seller property, because I've always struggled to sell anything, because properties are like my babies, really, and they're all very, very special to me, even the ones that are a little bit naughty sometimes. And Nick has always been much more pragmatic about it and said to me, you know, if they're not performing and you've had continual issues with poor quality tenants or whatever it might be, you know, you should really think about letting one or two of them go and maybe getting something better. And I think it's interesting because I don't know if anybody else on the call has what I call a kind of emotional attachment to your properties, but I certainly do. And I think great thing about Lendlord is that it strips the emotion out, because it's just numbers, and numbers never lie if you put the correct input data in. So if a portfolio is showing you that one or two properties are in the red, that they're not performing, it is, you know, a wake-up call to think, well, you know, should I hang on to them? Should I maybe sell them and maybe find something better? And of course, all your properties in the green, the ones that are performing well, you know that they are good performers. So you might think about, well, maybe I should get another 2-bed house in that location because this one's always served me well. So I do think that Lendlord is very good from the point of view that it does strip the emotion out. It's just data. It's helping you analyze your situation, see things very clearly, see any trends that are developing across your portfolio, and helping you make wise decisions. So Di Sherlock, she says it could get rid of a lot of paper clutter. Yes, Di, you're absolutely right. I remember having, well, we've still got them actually somewhere in the office, but we used to create files for each property, and we ended up just with, you know, a bookcase of files and paperwork. Obviously, this does cut down a lot of clutter, paper, good for the environment as well. And it's very easy to lose paper documents. You know, if you had a fire or something like that, you could lose them. Everything is stored in the cloud on Lendlord, so all your data is there in perpetuity and safe for you to use in the future, or to use it if you need to check something a few years down the line. So yes, thank you. That was a very good point, Di. James Mulkeen says it's great. Thank you.
By the way, Vanessa, James is our first user.
Oh, user number 1. Fantastic. That's what we like. And Sos to Let has said, I agree, don't let your heart rule your head. So thank you. Thank you for that input as well. So I think that's pretty much it for this evening. Thank you, everybody who has once again joined us. If you do want to contact Aviram, he's very contactable. His email address is available. He's on Property Tribes. He is on the chat bot on the Lendlord site. And if you are a portfolio landlord, or you feel that you would like a little bit of extra help, you can book an appointment with Aviram to have a live demo and to get your individual questions answered. So do feel free to reach out to Aviram if you would like to take advantage of that. Any closing words, Aviram?
Yeah, we got also a question from the webinar page. A user that asked, like, if he just started his journey with 1 or 2 properties, if this platform can help him. I would say definitely. So first, you know, you can put all of your data and see your metrics on the first properties. And another thing that we will be adding in the next few months is also like to evaluate future acquisitions. with a deal analyzer. And this is something I forgot because this is also some release this week. You can also put your prospect properties into Landlord, and you can filter your properties, so your portfolio. So basically, you can take a look how your portfolio might look like if you let's say purchase this property, and you can sell, and you sell other properties, and you can see like the combination of your new portfolio. When we will be adding the deal analyzer, you will have also like long-term metrics such as IRR, equity multiple, DCR, and you can also put your estimation for appreciation in terms of property value and rental income and inflation. And then I think that this answered the question that we got from this user, that definitely, because it will provide you with a tool that can give you data to understand what should be like your next step. Also in terms of investing.
Yeah.
Is important.
Yeah. And definitely, if you start off with Lendlord, when you get your first, second, third property, it's far easier to input the data as you get each property than to end up with 20, 30, 50 properties and then, kind of backtrack to have to input all the data. So very good best practice to start off with Lendlord at the beginning of your landlord journey, because it will be there to assist you throughout and give you those important insights and help you mitigate risk. And I think that prospect tool is fantastic. Just to think, the gentleman that I was talking about earlier that's got 25 properties with ranging ROIs, he could put them into prospect tool and remove the ones that aren't performing so well and see how that affects his overall performance. So that really is a useful tool, particularly at this time when people are reassessing their property businesses. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and we will look forward to seeing you on either Property Tribes or indeed on another Property Tribes cross Lendlord collab, because we're going to be running these every week. Wishing you a very pleasant rest of your evening. Thank you for your support of Lendlord and also Property Tribes, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Avram, to you. Bye from Guildford.